It's time for Measure Twice.
Welcome to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors and Joel Graber from Graber Customer Modeling. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. And we're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply, everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, with the showroom now open in Granger next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You could visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. Before we go into our topic, Joel, you're having an interesting experience with Hoosier Hardwood Floors right now, right? Didn't you have one single? They're matching some obscure flooring.
Yeah. They're making some up for us so that we can match a patch that we have to get in because it's engineered pre-finished floor. So, and it's discontinued, so that you just can't get it.
Yeah,
They tried to find it for us, but it's non-existent at this point.
And obviously, when that stuff happens, something like that, it's hard to ever get exact. I mean,
they'll get close. They'll be able to get
close
enough. You won't be able to tell. The difference will be maybe some sheen, and when floor gets finished in the factory, you have no grain. You see the grain, obviously, but you don't have the texture of the grain on the floor as opposed to when something is installed and finished in place.
Right.
So that would be that will be the difference. It won't be something that will draw your eye, though.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem like something you'd be able to necessarily see from the naked eye.
You'd have to look for it.
Yeah, you'd have to know it was there, and then
and if the designer does his job, nobody will ever notice.
Oh, ooh, it's getting shady over there, Chris.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of neat, and I'm sure they'd rather put a whole floor down or whatever they'd rather do, but that's an idea of how good they are. They can
oh yeah, there's none better.
I thought you were going to say something, Chris.
Nope.
You had
he was signing an agreement.
Yeah, I see.
Nope.
Yeah, it's nice. But I thought that was a really interesting little plug for them. That it's pretty amazing. And we always say this, your floor is super important. It takes up a lot of eye real estate.
Oh yeah.
And but I thought that was kind of neat. You just brought in a sample, and you're like, we need this, and they got on. They're floor detectives.
Yep.
Got on it there, like Tanner from the TV show Vegas. That's going way back. You don't even know that show.
I don't.
You remember that show, Chris?
Vegas? Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
He was like a casino cop.
Yep.
A hotel cop. Tanner.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. Busting perps at the casino. Who would go to that casino, by the way? A lot of bad stuff happened.
I know, but
Seriously.
it's like the White Lotus. Why do we stay there?
That's true.
A lot of bad things happen there, too.
That's true. The people who don't know about it.
That's right.
That's who gets it.
Now everybody's going, what?
We're going to run out of people. All right. Okay, but we're not going to talk about that today. I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was neat.
Yeah, it's a really nice plug.
We're around here, college football is very important. But everywhere, I think that having that party place in your house, I think that's a thing. And I think it even transcends socioeconomic. It doesn't matter if you're in a $180,000 home or $1 million home, like that. The outdoor kind of lounge or that man cave. I don't want to call it a man cave because
it's for anybody.
Exactly. I think that ship has sailed. I think the both genders are taking advantage of the man cave. So it's the we cave.
Yeah.
Them cave. I don't want to get caught up in pronouns here. But it's kind of neat. And the thing is, almost everybody's got a garage, right? I mean, there's very few. When did garages go out of style? Sorry, when did garages come in style? I mean, sorry.
There was carriage houses for a long time, but an attached garage?
For example, if you drive along Riverside,
yeah,
there's houses without garages there.
Yeah.
But they're from
they're in the back, in the alley.
Or they're in the alley.
Yeah, they're not attached.
There's a lot of and those would have been their carriage house probably back in the day.
Yeah, because they are that old that they predate
I don't know, an attached garage, like really when it really became a thing, maybe the 50s and 60s.
That's what I was thinking. More like the 50s, perhaps, because you see a lot of 50s ranches with attached garages.
Yeah. Right.
But they're usually
car.
a single car.
Right.
Just big enough to get your car in there and open the doors.
Yep. Back when it was like, what do we need 2 cars for? Women don't drive. You know, like that was the idea back then. Or you just didn't have a lot of
or you just didn't have 2 cars because it was different.
You went everywhere together.
Yeah.
You weren't.
Well, and at that time, typically the women stayed at home, and
Right. It was a serious luxury to have
2 cars.
Probably up until the 70s.
Or even later.
I would think, because cars, the economy car was launched basically mid-70s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like what are the little Gremlins? What are they? But it's kind of funny how
Pintos.
They were disposable cars.
Yeah.
Where'd the half of it? Where'd the other half go?
The Honda Civic in there, but it's it sounds like we're an automotive show right now, but the need wasn't there,
right?
Because not many people could afford 2 cars, and if you had 2 cars, you probably had people. You generally, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny how like that economy car making the second car affordable probably led to garages being something that like, hey, we need.
Well, you can think about the evolution of a garage. Single stall, double stall, now 3.
Now 3. And they're 3. And now you look, there's 3 and there's I don't know what you would call the extra space, but there's 3 and then they usually leave
a bay
that is just for your stuff.
Yeah.
Lawnmower, things of that nature.
Right. And it kind of like when you look at a 2-car garage that doesn't have that, you're like, man, that's a bummer. You're gonna,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Where are you really putting your stuff? But
that's for the shed.
That's for the shed. But there's an explosion of like shed lounges.
Oh, the she sheds.
Well, I was going to say she sheds, but it's not. Like you look at them, and my wife on a monthly basis, I'll see 7 or 8. She'll send me
sheds.
Yeah, like
that she wants to have to deck out or whatever.
Would be cool, Whether
there's some really cool pre-made ones I've seen.
Oh yeah,
out in the Amish country.
Yeah, those Amish, man,
they're pretty cool.
They know how to party. And I can say that because they're not listening.
Yeah.
And I can affirm that you're correct.
They kind of, the funny thing is about Amish is they seem to know the trends somehow. Like the trends get to them. But yeah, when you're talking when you drive out to
just you drive along a country road and you see all these gazebos and everything else for sale. Yeah.
Yeah. I think where I'm kind of going is the next level gazebo. Like, for example, I could probably find it. You should probably send it to me. But there's a shed that she sent to me that had like pass out quarters upstairs, like where you could there was an upper deck and you could go up there and like take a nap. It was almost like a bedroom. So it was 2 levels.
That's elaborate.
It was elaborate. And I'm going, how big is this? But, it was only 3 bar stools wide. You know what I mean? Just enough for 3 people. So it really was not that big, really. But it meant business.
Well, I suppose if you have an area to pass out, that means business.
Well,
and only 3 stools.
Let me clarify. We called it the pass out room.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought that was the official name
because I couldn't figure out why you would have that. Like, what do you need? Why would you need like a? But I guess it could be an extra bedroom. But it was pretty open. And the window system that you talked about that like unfolds. Mm-hmm. That was what was.
Oh, nice. So you can get the breeze.
Yeah, it was like open.
And the bugs.
And the bugs. Definitely
hard to pass out.
The neighbors.
Neighbors.
Raccoons. I mean, seriously. That's the thing I can't get past with the if you're going to have food out there, it better be locked up tight because
critters
they're resourceful.
I don't think unless you're running electric to it.
Oh, they all had electric.
Yeah.
Joel. They were all like that'll. I'm sure I didn't look deeply, but I'm sure there was running water somewhere. But that's what I kind of wanted to tackle. Like, how do you get around some of these issues? Because in our next segment, I want to talk about, like, if you're going to have a shed in the backyard, how do you solve those problems? Because you don't want to have to go all the way inside if you're all the way out there. When we come back, we can talk about that. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Joel Graber from Graber Custom Remodeling and Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential, and you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk, 95.3 MNC. And we're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops, with the showroom now open next to C. Kramer Interiors and Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. We're talking about the she shed, she shed, the them shed, the us shed, if you will.
Us. Like
and the garage is one thing. I'm talking, like, for now, I kind of wanted to focus on, like, if you wanted to build something sort of spectacular in your backyard, right? Maybe something, let's call it like 20 by 20 square in your backyard. And for this purpose, like, you're not putting your lawnmower in it.
Sounds like a pool house.
without a pool.
Yeah.
Just without the pool.
You're just going to need a pool.
Something later. Something to think about. Something to grow to.
Yep.
Be the pool. But what logistically, okay, what are you thinking? If you're charged to build that, Joel?
Plumbing, electrical.
What do you build it on? I was thinking. I don't think we're going to have a basement in our...
No, you're not going to have a basement on that. It's a slab.
The slab is fine?
Yeah.
The dirt? I was just going to... Well,
I guess it depends, because you're talking about those, like Chris was talking about, those prefab sheds, which you can get some really... I mean, they will make those pretty good sizes. As long as they can take it down the highway, which with wide load, you can get like 16 or 18 feet wide. So you can get something that's pretty big. So if it's portable, then yeah, you're not necessarily thinking about that. But
about excavation, you mean?
We still have to excavate some to make a flat space, put limestone down, make sure it has a solid base so it's not sinking and so it's not tipped one way or another, or it doesn't rock when you walk from one side to the other.
Everything's tipsy in here.
Yeah.
But I guess why I'm asking because
you're doing this soon?
No. Oh. No, but the pop-up, we'll call those like a pop-up one. Like you can just put it there. Wouldn't you put that on cement too, though?
No.
You wouldn't have to put that on cement?
I would not put it on cement.
Oh, you wouldn't?
A what? A pop-up?
The ones portable. The portable.
Oh.
But why wouldn't you put it on cement?
Well, for one, certain municipalities, you start making it seem like a permanent structure. They're going to tax it. They're also going to require certain, you have to be in certain parameters and codes.
But if you don't put it on a permanent foundation, how are you going to run water and?
Well, if you start running water and electric, you're dealing with
permanent structure.
So you have to make a decision. You can do it. You can run some electric out there. I don't know that you're going to run water. That's a pretty big undertaking.
I have a friend
portable
who will remain nameless who solved that problem. And he has his whole
generator
shed wired. He doesn't, but he might eventually one day.
Wired is one thing, but water is tricky.
Well, but he wired it, and he's like, he just has an extension cord, and he just goes it out, and he has two.
Right.
And he's like, I plug them in, and if the assessor ever wants to come over here, he just unplugs it. And he's like, oh, it's not hooked up. We just carry out a generator every now and then. And it's like, that's not really what he does. But, He's a scofflaw, and we're not condoning that. We're condoning follow code.
If it's not permanent power, it's not permanent.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That's what his mind was.
Now, if you run water to it, you're making it a permanent structure. And with something like what I was talking about, I don't know that you want to make that a permanent structure.
I see what you're saying. So when you put that slab down, you could be making a tax decision.
And then you can't. You've also just made a decision like this is where something's going to sit forever,
right?
Until it's this size,
yeah. So. Okay, so
and you don't have to do that with those things,
right? You can move them because that's. Yeah. Are they on wheels too? I wonder.
No, they're on. I mean, it's usually like 4x6s or 6x6 material. Basically, you either have to get like a forklift and move it around, or drag it.
Would you then? What would
logs and roll it?
Yep. You can do it like the Romans did.
Get some lumberjacks over to the. Dance the logs over.
Yep.
So would you then? What would you put between the wood and the ground? Just have the.
That's what I said. I would level the ground and put limestone down.
Limestone.
Then that would then it's not going to hold water.
Okay.
And which would rot the bottom of the.
I mean, eventually something's going to rot.
Oh yeah, they're not permanent.
Right. But they're you get another 5-8 years out of it doing it that way as opposed to. Just slapping it on the ground.
Yeah, then it's
letting it sit in that
moisture.
Yeah,
and limestone's different than pea gravel.
Yes.
Okay.
Limestone's going to pack,
right?
Which you want, but it still drains.
Gotcha.
The pea gravel isn't going to pack; it's always loose.
It doesn't. Yeah,
it's more, and it's definitely.
And then it gets drug all over in your yard, and it's just a mess. I do not recommend that.
But if you're putting it down, you can tell everybody, I have to go pea gravel. So I see where you're coming from, though. Like, it's now, you've kind of solved one problem and the structure's built. Okay. So this comes to your house. You're preparing it. It kind of just shows up and it's done. Other than, like, design and stuff.
You have to do stuff, depending on what you're doing with it on the interior. That's where you have to do something.
I've never seen one inside. I've only seen them on the outside.
I'm assuming they look like a shed on the inside. They're like kind of pretty on the outside. Then you go in and
it's just a shed.
It's just unfinished. You can do whatever you want with it.
They make it look. Some of them look like a little house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like there's some that look like your house.
Yeah, and they're really cute.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, but you walk in and it's a shed.
Yeah, but
that's okay.
Yeah. Now, on the inside of those, though, before we get into the design, because I figured when we get into the design part, we're probably going to go crazy and talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. But the build thing, a shed does not have studs every 16 inches, right? Like,
yeah, it does usually.
It does? So they're kind of building it to some sort of...
Yeah, it's gonna be built. Typically, those things are built well as far as like load and being able to hold up to the elements as far as like wind and things like that.
Right. What about being able to put sheetrock up and flooring on the inside?
I wouldn't, if it's not conditioned, I wouldn't put sheetrock.
I was just going to say that's not going to hold up.
What would you put on the inside then?
And panel it somehow with, I mean, you could do any number of
steel,
things.
MDF.
No. And then do it again next year.
Yeah.
But that's the same. I mean, it's roughly the same as doing drywall.
Yeah,
there.
It holds moisture.
Oh, I see. Just having if it's not conditioned on the exterior well enough.
The interior.
Well, they're not heated.
Right.
You could put a heater in there, but it's going to accumulate so much moisture.
Yep.
That stuff will disintegrate. You maybe like some sort of wood siding or.
So you kind of got to use stuff you might use on an exterior, on the interior.
It would hold up better.
It would hold up a lot better.
But you could still get
something that's finished
good
all the way around.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of neat to have.
Absolutely.
Like metal, or
metal. Yeah, it depends on what you're going for, too.
Right, the style.
There are any number of finishing the interior of something like that is you've got any number of options depending on what you want to do with what you want it to look like.
But the bottom line is, and we're talking about a shed that's going to be outside, but you want to kind of party in it maybe. But the bottom line is you're saying like, hey, look, your inside stuff is probably going to be made of exterior stuff because
something that's going to hold up to the elements.
Because of basically moisture is going to be in there.
Yep.
Unless you wrapped that thing
and the freeze thaw.
Freeze thaw.
Yeah,
effect, right.
it's mainly the freeze thaw that you have to worry about.
Because you're not gonna. It's not a home. You're not You're not gonna put the same. You're not making an addition just out there.
Right.
It just has to be good enough.
It could either be a party space or it's a storage space. It's one or the other.
Right.
Or both.
Or both. Right. And
but if you're doing one of those decorative type pieces, I don't think you're using it for storage.
Yeah, I don't think the rider is parked in there.
Right.
You're not sitting on that having beers with your buddies in there.
No.
Or maybe you are, depending on what you like to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it all kind of started where you're in a garage and you're watching the game, working on the whatever. Or you're you know what I mean? Like you're putzing around and you have the TV on and then somebody comes over and next thing you know it's 2 a.m. and you're divorced. No.
We're not advocating that.
No, we're not.
I think it was the radio before it was the TV.
It was probably the radio, right?
The radio's on, you're listening to the game.
And that extension has moved to become pretty elaborate because it is so relaxing. Like you're not.
It is fantastic.
And really the cleanup
TV
is
in the garage?
No, just your outside living.
Yeah.
Oh, that's become huge.
It's just.
But a lot of people take it into their garage.
Right. Or now outside with a portable structure or building. So when we come back, though, let's design this thing, your outdoor party space. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice, Chris. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential. And you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops at the showroom now open in Granger next to C. Kramer Interiors. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors, Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You could visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. If you sense a presence for our next segment, Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks is in the room. So if you sense a presence on the air.
The hair on everybody's arms stood up.
Yeah, they're like, I see restoration people. I don't know what to say. I don't know what kind of sixth sense you might be having here. But we're actually talking about the party bin, the party shed.
The outside party.
Outside party. I don't know. But we've determined that probably the portable ones are not a bad route. There's not a reason to have one built because you can have one delivered. It might be faster. I don't know what costs are. We didn't really extrapolate costs, but
I mean, it's not bad comparatively.
Yeah.
To a permanent structure.
When you factor in time, like you order it and you're in a 3-week window, whereas building it could be a lot worse, right? I mean,
well, and just the cost of it's going to be a lot less than having something built.
Yeah, because I think the labor charges would be high to
because those
have
things
it built on site.
I mean, they're not buildings. They have these structures that they have their plans. They have the parts are cut. And
tried and true, engineered, all that stuff. And then if you're doing it yourself, you only have 10 mistakes to make with the saw before you're out of fingers.
Exactly.
So it's probably
back to the lumberyard. That'd be me. Back to the lumberyard.
Yeah, I would. How many curse words does it take to build a shed? 4,000. But so that being said, though, Chris, you can't just. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your property, you own your property. You can do what you want, but
want to bet?
Yeah. HOAs might have something to say about it. That's why I don't live where there's HOAs. But so from a design perspective, though, should that shed look exactly like your house? Does it have to look exactly like your house, or can it? What are some options that'll look?
Why would you want it to?
Well, I don't know.
Maybe it can tie in color-wise, but I don't think it has to match your house.
So, it could be tacky to have a replica of your house in the backyard.
It's kind of redundant. It's like kind of the idea of having a little shed in the back is make it a little bit different.
Gotcha. And then what about like color? Should it fit in that way, or?
It can. I've actually seen some that do tie in, some that don't. So they made it look completely different for a reason.
Right. It's not attached, I guess is what you're saying. So it's like,
have a little fun with it.
It's your own. It can be its own thing.
It can be its own thing.
Right.
I just keep thinking of that one insurance commercial where the she shed.
I do too. This is my she shed,
but the way it was kind of done in the commercial was kind of cute. It was charming. It had character, personality,
and
not that your house doesn't, but
no, but it has its own character.
Had its own character.
Right. I think that's kind of what you're saying. It's like, well, you can do.
It didn't have to be like the house. This is my personal space, and I wanted it to be this.
Right.
Right.
And then once you make that decision, at that point, it probably should follow along with itself. Like, it should look like the purpose that you're.
What did you want to use it for?
Yeah. Unless it's dual purpose, in which case it's probably always going to look like a shed. Because the lawnmower really takes away from the bar.
Yeah.
I feel like. But the world is, like, when I research this online, you could do whatever you want.
To a shed.
Yeah.
To a structure.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, so I've got a friend that every year, first, like week 1 of college football, he has a big party. And we go every year. He started it in his pole barn. He ended up adding on to it for this purpose.
So it has its own separate.
So, I mean, the pole barn looks the same, but like the one side is specifically like the party garage.
Well, it's interesting because they're calling them now garage lounges.
I haven't heard that term yet, but
that's when I was doing my research, it kept landing at garage lounge or shed lounge.
I could see that. Yeah.
And
is that like a chaise lounge?
He pulls out the fancy words later in the show all the time. But when you look at them, there's no remnant of shed or garage at all. It looks like you have another living room. Like, it really does. Like, it looks like you took you're like, oh, we had this great idea for a living room, and we're putting it out there.
Interesting. I mean, we've done a lot of really elaborate garages.
Yeah.
But it's specifically for entertaining purposes. But we didn't put like lounge furniture in it. It's more, tables and chairs and bar height tables. And,
right.
This is and there's dozens of them. There's theater setup. There's a few that are theater setup, and the one that I can't find the actual video. I found the picture of it, but the theater seat, like let's say you're watching the game, like everything points at the game. Let's just say, like big TV, okay, over there, and then there's kind of like a theater setup, but the chairs are all on wheels and they move. Like, you can configure it however you want. You want to play poker, you wheel them over there.
Well, a lot of times you do that anyway. That way you can move some stuff, rearrange as needed. Right. But to have the lounging stuff, I don't know. I mean, that's not what I would do.
I wouldn't either. Unless I wouldn't either.
Because typically, like in those situations, you're there to watch the game and just to enjoy conversation, and you're not lounging.
The only time I would have like lounge type furniture be on my patio or something of that nature, but not because I know that at my house we've put up a projector outside and put up a screen between the columns on the back. We'll watch football games at night or whatever, but to have movable furniture is ideal because
so we can
configure it however you want and for how many people you want.
Right.
But yeah, so
I can't but think critters. But
oh gosh.
Not when you're out there.
Not when you're out there. You just put things away when you're done so that they don't get into it.
Right. Well, like looking at soft chairs, but I guess if they're outdoor chairs,
because you've done some with us for some pretty cool. I want it to look like an Irish pub.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
We made it look like an Irish pub.
Or like they want some of the cabinetry to look like lockers and stuff. I mean, like, it just, you could do anything you want with it and it can be really cool. But I mean, typically those spaces, I mean, at least my experience, those spaces are not necessarily for lounging. They're for hanging out.
Yep. Hanging out.
It's just a totally different
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. And so on the other end is just like you said, like I was watching an interview with a designer and he was like, yeah, what do you want to become when you come in here? Like, are you like the super fan of your local team? Are you pretending to be an Irish bartender? He said, like you're Irish when you're in this bar and when you're in this place and you're behind the bar, you're like from Ireland, or are you, like he had a list. Are you a beach bum? Are you at a tiki hut? Like he's like, you become that, and this space is supposed to make it easy to do that. It's basically how he
makes sense.
How he put it. But speaking of Irish pub, there's one in there that's like very, very much so with the wood. And what was cool, and I can't find it on here, but they had it so that you could have kegs over the bar, and the taps came down and they like hung down. It was kind of neat, I thought, but it was kind of elaborate.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that kind of setup, that's elaborate.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we're talking about the show, we don't want to talk about the normal stuff.
And I think the difference between having a shed with furniture in it versus a garage, people still need to put their cars in the garage. So to set it up as a lounge makes it a little more complicated to where do I store it.
Yeah, where do I put it?
Where do I put it if it's a garage so I can get my car in here?
Which is a benefit to the shed because then you can just close the doors of the shed and that's where all that stuff is.
Yeah.
And that's
you don't have to continually pull it out.
There's pros and cons to both.
Right.
You're the other elaborate thing that I saw was there was one that had a water tank. So he had this water was up here. So he kind of had running water. But this guy
Is this a shed or a garage?
This is a shed. Because the garage is, you're just like you said, the more elaborate the garage, and I'm looking at the pictures, that's why I'm looking away, the more you have to put away. So the what I saw was a lot of ideas to store your stuff and not so many ideas on how to make it, the one had a poker table that folded into the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
And the TV that goes, like, swings up just, to go away. It was a lot of that ideas. But face it, if you have you can do what you want. Mm-hmm. But I'm really excited because Todd Zeiger's here. And next segment, we're going to talk about Palador House. And we get to talk to Todd. And we're all going to sing Kumbaya. No, I'm just kidding. We're not. But stay tuned. Get your update on Palador House. This is Measure Twice. Welcome back to Measure Twice. I'm Rob Perugini, along with Joel Graber from Graber Customer Modeling and Chris Kramer from C. Kramer Interiors. This is the show that helps you envision your home's potential. And you're listening to us on Michiana's News Talk 95.3 MNC. We're brought to you in part by Leatherman Supply. Everything windows, doors, cabinets, and countertops with a showroom right now open near C. Kramer Interiors. Right. Where were they? I got lost for a second.
You took a wrong turn.
I know. I was like, they're located next to greatness, is what we like to say. C. Kramer Interiors. Okay. And Hoosier Hardwood Floors. Michiana's trusted and valued experts on hardwood floors. You can visit them at HoosierHardwoodFloors.com. And like we said earlier, get almost anything matched. They're like the creative genius that is Dino. And he'll do a soft shoe for you on the floor when he's done. No. But we have special guest. It's not becoming less special, Todd, now that you're here. Todd Zeiger from Indiana Landmarks. It's not any less special. It's for us. It's equally special.
I'm glad you let me come into the Measure Twice lair once in a while and have a conversation. So thanks for the invite. Appreciate it. You mentioned hair standing up. That can go two directions as far as that's concerned. So I was getting a little nervous.
Well, don't tempt Chris with stuff because he's thinking, I'm not looking at him. I'm not going to look over there. He's like, what, me? I don't think of anything. I have no.
I'm just sitting here.
If you could only hear the off-air Chris, if we were only allowed to air that. Well, we're not. We can't. It's decorum prevents it. But we are always, couple times a month, talk about our progress on the Palador House. And we're going to recap Palador House probably every time, Todd. Like, tell us a little bit about the house, just real quick.
Thank you. Yeah, the Palador House, great historic house in South Bend in the Chapin Park Historic District in downtown. Moved it in about a little over a year ago now. I was looking back at some photos like you forget. But, yeah, it's a great kind of craftsman-style property that sits right on the corner of West Navarre and Portage there in downtown. And I'm always intrigued and enjoy when folks say, wow, that looks amazing. People talk about how they're glad it's there because it replaced a parking lot that had been there since the 1960s. And folks really appreciate having a house there now, which is fantastic. And then, which is the first piece, but then also having somebody say it looks like it's always been there or that it fits in with the corner really well. So that's always a nice thing to hear rather than, oh my gosh, what did you do? Kind of a comment.
Oh, yeah.
Which they don't usually say to your face, but they do put it on Facebook. But
well, face is in the name, so it's sort of to your face.
So, but yeah, it's a wonderful property, and it just pulls people in. Every once in a while, you get involved in a historic house or building, and for whatever reason, it just catches people's attention and heart, and they're attracted to it. And I've yet to take someone through there that isn't just drawn in by it. And I don't know, it's character, and I think it's also somewhat the style of the house, but then also the story that the Paladors were there for over 100 years, and Ted lived there from when he was a baby to when he passed away at almost 100, and these sort of stories hang on the house, and they're still there when you walk through, I think, and people feel that, not to get too ethereal.
Oh, and
it's a thing that you don't get when you walk through the mall.
They delicately use that house too.
Yeah, it was a very loved property, and Ted took care of it very well, which is great because it gives us the opportunity and a really wonderful foundation to work off of to do rehab.
But as great as the house was, when you move a house to a place and a house is that old, there's still stuff that needs to be done. Like, there's just no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still 110 years old. It was built in 1913 and renovated in the 20s by the Paladors. And so, yeah, and it really hadn't been significantly changed, which is great at one level from a preservation standpoint. But on the other level, causes some challenges, which is fine. That's what we do. But there's always something, just like any house, any building, if you don't do anything or update anything for 110 years, whether it's an old house or a car dealership, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna need some help and some updates.
We're talking about the Palador House and the project that Measure Twice crew and Indiana Landmarks are kind of doing together to take this wonderful house back and put it in a place where it can be used by a great family or whomever buys it, and put it in, make it in that kind of working order. So you were, basically there's, 2 floors. What phase are you in now?
We're finishing up the demolition to open up walls so we can get in for the plumbing and wiring and other things that we need to get behind the plaster on. We're trying to be very careful with that. We don't want to open up any more than we have to. Some folks just go in and gut the entire interior. That's not our typical fashion. We'd like to preserve the plaster walls. We think they're more long-lived as far as that and then the history. So we're opening up the wall, kind of gutting out the kitchen area, which is not unusual. Kitchens usually baths, right? high impact areas, high use areas, and ones that need, and it's time, the plumbing and a couple baths we need to get to. So we're in demolition phase. We'll be wrapping that up in the next week or so. And then our electrician will come in to start doing the rewire, which is our most recent, oh my goodness, we have to do that discovery. So that's the next phase of that work. You were talking about floors. There's the basement. It'll be great to have stairs to the basement sometime soon, and not my extension ladder to get down there. So that'll be good.
It's a super fun trip.
It's a super fun trip. I love it. Or crawling in and out of the escape window in the basement. That either way. So getting that going, and then moving that kitchen door and doing some exterior wrap up before the weather turns, because we can all feel it.
Yeah,
it's coming.
So one of the cool things about Palador is it's giving you guys. About you guys, Indiana Landmarks, the opportunity to hold workshops. You guys are kind of famous for training people on restoration and how to do things, right? So,
well, we like to have that opportunity, and when we have a property, tie this back to our folks here in the room. The need for folks that can work on heritage buildings, that understand how to work on historic houses, commercial buildings, is I cannot overstate the need for individuals that can do that work. Heritage trades training is a big, big need. And so when we have a property that we can do that hands-on type of things, we like to take advantage of that, not just do the rehab, but let's take advantage of that opportunity and teach some folks how to fix plaster walls or redo their windows. And so we do have a series of workshops that are coming up, and you can go to our website, indianalandmarks.org, and just search for workshops. We have one coming up on September 10th on double-hung wood windows. You can learn how to do a tune-up if you have old windows, how you re-rope, real basic stuff, which is great, the ins and outs of that. But then also on the 19th and 20th, we have a hands-on where you can come in for 2 days and actually do one of the windows there at the house, learn how to do it on your own home that way. And that's in September 19th and 20th. I kind of call it break our house before you break yours type of an approach, right?
That's pretty clever.
Have an expert with you, so when you mess up, you have somebody you can ask. And yes, there are YouTube videos, but it's kind of hard to ask the YouTube video host when you've messed up the roping or whatever. So
right.
We have those, and then we'll have one on plaster repair, and we have one on wood floors, and then we have one on hazardous materials, because we want folks to be able to think about, hey, be aware of, do you have asbestos or do you have lead, and how do you approach that when you're doing that work, and that sort of thing. So over the next year or so here, we'll have a series, but those are the next kind of upcoming ones, next 4 months.
And I think, I'll just put it bluntly, if you're sitting here listening, you're driving somewhere and listening, and you're like, how to re-rope a window sounds like the most boring thing in the world, you have not had one go. That's all that means, because it's not nerd work. That's a real thing. That is an actual thing, and it's kind of cool to know. So I think that's pretty neat. And I'm surprised, if you looked at the windows at Palador House, you would think that they were perfect.
They're in really great shape. They really are, and they're very similar to a lot of what other people's houses' windows look like. But they need new ropes or chain.
Right.
Some of them you can't open or whatever, and people jump to, I have to replace them. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody. I got to replace my windows, and it's really a matter that the ropes are gone, and it's a little bit of a tune-up, and it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's cheaper to fix them
for real
than it is to replace. So, yeah, I find it kind of somewhat cathartic to take an opening you can't use and then get it working again. And it's not for everybody, but it is something that people can do.
And just like that, we're out of time, Todd. Thanks so much for coming in here. How again, the website?
indianalandmarks.org.
Go visit it, and then look for Palador YouTube videos very soon. Have a great day. This has been Measure Twice.
Podcasts by Federated Media.